welcome to the Fundamentals of Lute Playing. My name is Laudon Schuett, and today's just a really quick episode on some of my original compositions and kind of giving them out to the community for free. These are revisions. So a couple years ago, I published a book with Mel Bay that has, I think, 30 original lute pieces, and one of the projects I've been working on is going back, picking out some of the ones that are kind of my favorites, the ones that I think were the best, and doing some revisions. And some of these revisions are simply making the scores a little easier to read, cleaning them up. But in some cases, it's reworking them a bit and using some of the knowledge that I've gained over the last few years and experience I've gained doing other things to sort of work out some problem spots that had always bothered me. And I think this goes in line with the sort of, if you look at the sources, you'll see these lute pieces, the maybe lacrame in the early 1590s versus lacrame in 1612 or whatever. Clearly composers and players were taking pieces that they liked and they were rewriting them, reworking them, adding new ornamentation, working out kinks. There's one lute song, and I wish I remember which one it was, but in each of the published editions of the Lute Song book, Dowland had tried to deal with some little contrapuntal problem, and it just kept changing, and it clearly would just create another problem and another problem, and I think it went through 4 reprints, and it's really hilarious to see him work it out, and I think he finally just was like, I give up. And so there's a little bit of that, but it was a chance to... I had written those pieces and I had performed those pieces for years. And then during COVID and the last few years, I had a break from them. And so I had a chance to kind of come back, read through them in a sort of detached way, and make some revisions that I think improve them. So in the description is a link to a free packet of lute pieces. And they are probably, some of them are probably too difficult for a lot of you to play through now, but maybe someday as you become more advanced. I love this idea of bringing back the creative side of lute playing, because if we think about lute performers in the 16th century, but the big names, Milano, Dowland, Marco dell'Aquila, Paladin, Alberto, they were all composers, and they were all probably mostly playing their own music. And bringing back that tradition of the professional musician makes music, and amateur musicians or enthusiasts then play the music and enjoy it. I love that relationship. I think it's a really, really great thing. We've obviously gone through this important phase in the early music movement where we've been going and finding pieces by older composers from the 16th century and performing them and bringing the performance practices back, and that needs to continue. That's absolutely essential. We're always finding new manuscripts, we're always finding new books, but I think the next stage is to bring back the traditions. And I love this idea that, like, as a professional musician, my job is to make you guys something to play through. And sometimes you like it, and sometimes you hate it. Sometimes some people like it, and some don't like it. But I love this idea of, like, producing music for you all to play. And I know some people might be like, well, there's 50,000 Renaissance lute pieces. Do we really need it anymore? Well, first of all, not all of those lute pieces are great. I'd say maybe 48,000 of them are fantastic. I don't know what the actual number is, but I love Renaissance music. So even the really bad stuff, I could usually find an excuse to love. But I would say that I don't think adding more takes away from what already exists. I think it just means more. And I would, I often say, people will say, well, we've already got all this great stuff. Why do we need more? And, maybe it's a little crash to say this, but I'm like, well, you already had your honeymoon. Why make love to your wife again? You kind of go, well, I think the idea is that this is a wonderful, wonderful thing, and adding new music in that style is great. So I hope that you enjoy these pieces, that you have fun sort of picking them apart, and maybe you have some that you end up hating and some that you end up liking. But either way, the link is in the description. I hope you enjoy. I think the next episode I have coming out hopefully will be the divisions. Will be at least I haven't decided if it's going to be one part or two part yet, but I'm closing in on that with the primer on improvising or composing your own divisions and how to approach divisions in Renaissance lute music. So, as I said in the previous episode, that's sort of ballooned into a bigger project. I hope everyone is having a wonderful week practicing, and I'll see you for the next episode. Happy looting. Bye bye.